All right, let's solve 4x to the fourth equals to 864x. So we have a polynomial equation, and we're going to solve this equation by factoring. So let's set this equation equal to 0 by subtracting 864x to both sides. We have 4x to the fourth minus 864x equals to 0. Then what we're going to do, solve by factoring. So we're going to factor out a GCF, which is 4x. And we have 4x times x cubed minus 216 equals to 0. And we want to factor the x cubed minus 216. Now, this x cubed minus 216 is a difference of two cubes. This is the method we're going to use to factor a binomial where they're cubes. The first and last terms are cubes. This is the pattern. Our first term is cubed minus our last term being cubed. And the setup is that the first parenthesis will be a binomial, f minus L. The second parenthesis is going to be a trinomial, where we have f squared plus FL plus L squared. So this is the pattern that we're going to use. So our x cubed minus 216 is already set up as f cubed and L cubed. We need to find f and L. So let's fill in the missing part. What, when we cube it, would give us x cubed? That will be x. And then what would we cube it would give us 216? That would give us 6. So when we when we factor, we're going to subtract f and L. We have x minus 6. Then it says square f. That means we're going to square x, means x squared. X times x being x squared. Take the opposite sign, positive. Multiply f and L. So multiply x times 6. We have 6x. Plus L squared, meaning 6 squared. That would give us 36. So this is what x cubed minus 216 would equal to, is the binomial times the trinomial here. So we have 4x times x minus 6 times x squared plus 6x plus 36 equals to 0. Now we're going to use the zero product principle, where we're going to set each factor equal to 0 and solve. Now this trinomial, x squared plus 6x plus 36, it looks like it can be factored, but it's not a perfect square trinomial, because I want you to think about this. What are factors of 36 that when you add those factors it will give you 12? There are no factors of 36 that will add to give you 12, because if we're talking about factors of 36, identical factors, 6 plus 6, but that gives us, what did I say, 12 before? I meant to say 6. What are factors of 36 that would give us 6, but when we add those two numbers, it would give us 12. So what we're going to have to do for this trinomial, since it's not factorable, we're going to have to use the quadratic formula. But let's solve for the other equations. 4x is equal to 0. Divide by 4. Therefore, x is equal to 0. X minus 6 is equal to 0, therefore x is equal to 6. Now our trinomial x squared plus 6x plus 36 equals to 0. We're going to use the quadratic formula that I'm listing here, where our A is 1, our B is 6, our C is 36. So here we go. X is equal to negative times 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 36 all over 2 times 1. Before the plus minus sign, let's multiply the negative and negative 6. We have negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared. We have 36 minus. Now let's look at 4 times 1 times 36, and that's negative 4 times 1 times 36. That gives us minus 144 all over 2. So then we have negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 144. We have negative 108 all over 2. So now we need to look at how to simplify or work with the square root of negative 108. So let's do that. Let's take out the negative 1 factor. So there will be an I as part of the solution. And then we have the square root of 108. Let's write the prime factors for 108. Let's break that down. Let's divide 108 by 2. 2 times 54. 2 is prime. Let's break down 54. Divide that by 2. We have 27. Let's break down 27. What times what gives us 27? We can divide 27 by 3. We have 3 times 9. And break down 9. We have 3 and 3. So the prime factors for 108, we have 2 2s and 3 3s. And don't forget, the square root of negative 1 is I. And then we're going to group. Since we have an index of 2, let's look for all the perfect pairs. So we're going to bring a 2 out. We're going to bring a 3 out. So outside the radical, we have I times 2 times 3. That is 6I. Square root of what's left under the radical sign, we have a 3. So the square root of negative 108 is 6I square root of 3. So let's write that down. Negative 6 plus or minus 6I square root of 3 all over 2. And then let's divide 2 into the negative 6 before the plus minus sign. Let's divide the 2 into the 6I. That's after the plus or minus sign. So let's write this as 2 separate fractions. And we have here negative 3 plus or minus 3I square root of 3 as our solution. So negative 3 plus or minus 3I squared of 3. We have x equaling to 6 and x equaling to 0. So those are our solutions.